What's up, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Truth on the Rocks.
Hey, y'all.
Come on now. First of all, I have to start off by saying Happy New Year to everybody. Happy New Year to all of you beautiful people here on the screen.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, good brother.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And Happy New Year to everyone at home. And since it is a new year, we wanted to kick off a new show. So thanks so much for joining us today. And my name is Maurice Griffin.
My name is Renata Del Carmen.
My name is Gerald Frank.
And my name is Nimdia Anderson.
So, as you can see, this is a panel show and we are all co-hosts. But before we formally introduce ourselves, just want to tell you a little bit about what Truth on the Rocks is about.
Yeah. Well, first, this show is where people, we the hosts and our guests, can speak of unapologetic truth. Well, Lord knows that some truth may not be popular, but this is a safe space. It is a safe space, y'all.
Safe space.
Express that truth.
Good to know.
And our individual perspectives and experiences, our hope is to educate, inspire, and empower people to live more fulfilled lives, but in their own truth. Right up my alley.
Right, exactly. And just remember, guys, if the truth or if your truth ever becomes too difficult, just have it on the rocks. If you're 21 and over, okay? No illegal drinking over here.
Also noted.
Thank you.
Now that that's out of the way, we can formally introduce ourselves. I am Renata Del Carmen. I am an author, entrepreneur, mom, creator, all of the things. I do all of the things. I'm a deal of all of the trades. Master to some, but yeah, you get the point.
Well, bless you, sis. I am the Black psychologist. I am a school psychologist. And my business is just to let people understand that your mind is the most important commodity that you have. It is your business. So you must mind your business. And in 2022, just get your mind right and keep it right.
Keep it right.
Keep it right.
And my name is Nimdia Anderson, and I am the founder of the Girlfriend Experience, the Tribe with the Vibe. I curate monthly events for women because I believe that personal development should always feel like a ladies' night out.
Wonderful. And as I said earlier, my name is Maurice Griffin. And over the years, I've developed a passion for vlogging about everyday life struggles and interviewing Black and brown creators on their struggles and accomplishments of making their dreams come true. And if I can just inspire one person every day, then Maurice Griffin is doing his damn job. Okay?
Maurice is doing his damn job. Speaking of Maurice's job, we are entering into the segment that we call Iced Tea Topics. Now, we know most of the world calls it Hot Topics, but we got to do things with swag and with a twist. It's the Truth on the Rocks way, so we call it Iced Tea Topics. Right. And on my list of things that I feel should be on the top of the Iced Tea Topics is Mrs. Megan Good and Devon telling everyone that they are getting a divorce.
That is true. I did hear that. Iced tea.
So
I heard it.
They are getting a divorce. I was really shocked. But what was more shocking, I think, for me was that they both decided to post, which means that they were in agreement and they were in alignment. And they said that they prayed to God and they made this decision together. And so this actually brought up, some questions for me personally, because that was not my experience.
Oh.
When I got divorced, this wasn't the conversation that was had, okay? Not girl, okay?
Not
and it was a whole different type of experience, a 3-year drawn out experience, right? So for me, I am kind of struggling with the concept of two people still being aligned and being able to keep a united front and work as a team. But the message is, but we're getting a divorce. That doesn't make sense to me conceptually. How are you, or why would you get a divorce if it seems like things are still good? Because marriage, it's a teamwork thing, right? They still seem to be operating as a team. They were never feuding. I've never seen her. Well, listen, I mean, that's how it seems. I've never seen him say one bad thing about her. I've never seen her say anything about him. And of course, we get the social media version of everyone. But at the end of the day, we know if people are mad, most times they don't have that discipline to not show it on social media. So they still seem like they are cool in a sense. So what makes a married couple say, yeah, we're cool and shit, but I don't want to be with you no more? Like the end.
I'll jump in first, right? I'm not married, never been married. Mm-hmm. God only knows if this is 2022. I might get married this year. You never know what happens. I don't know what the Lord have in store for me. However, but I have heard of this phrase, sometimes you can love someone better from a distance. So it may be if they are both on the same page and they both want it to be apart, then maybe that's how they can be aligned with your decision.
That's true.
I too am also single. However, after observing like their posts on New Year's Eve, it seemed Megan is talking about being excited going into 2022, and Devon is talking about going into 2022 in pain. Truth. So I feel like what they said publicly was well scripted by a publicist, or maybe not well scripted by a publicist, but you know.
Of course it was. Why wouldn't it be?
But here's the biggest thing about their marriage, Nem, to your point, is I always noticed like there was something between them, like wedged between them. And when they did interviews, people would ask about children. Naturally, that's a question people ask married people when they've been married for as long as they've been married. Because it's been about 10 years. And the response was always that Megan wanted to focus on her career, that they had embryos, I think, or something like that. And when the time was right, that they would have these children. And so and Devon wanted children. So I'm wondering if his pain is that these embryos, you know what I mean? Like that's a process to go through to then say, never mind. Like that's a little while. So
I'm sorry. I was going to ask, that was going to be my follow-up question. Why do you think that they decided to say it's done? Because a close source vaguely said they just didn't spend enough time together, and COVID just piled that on top of that, and people had to kind of be confined with each other. Could you imagine going from spending maybe 5 hours every week with your significant other, or every other week, or months at a time, and then suddenly you're hit with COVID and you have to literally be with them? Oh my God. Destroying buildings, baby. Like COVID was destroying marriages like left and right. It was the realest thing marriages ever had to face. There was no escaping it. So for me, I'm like, was COVID the reason? It was like, we're not acting anymore. We're not operating in marriage in passing. Like we really got to deal with the core of some stuff. And then you're suddenly like, I don't really want to be here no more.
Yeah, well, it causes me to question the dynamic of the relationship that they have, right? Based on my observation and friends that I've spoken to, like the couples that really made it through COVID were the ones that had a firm friendship foundation, that they're able to actually be around each other and be friends with one another before this COVID situation hit. So it was okay for them to be around each other because before pre-pandemic, they spent time with each other and they had like this firm friendship foundation with one another. So it caused me to question, like, what was the dynamic of their relationship pre-COVID?
Right. And that definitely
the one that inspired the books they wrote about how to be happily married.
See, that's why I ain't trying to be out there like that.
Yeah, listen, people don't write their own books. People have ideas and they got writers writing their books. So I don't,
Well, this is another perspective. Someone who's watching right now, Taisha Flowers, she said the church he pastored still wasn't filling her and it was getting hard on her. She even stopped going to church. So that's something else that could have possibly played a part into the demise of their relationship, right? So church and religion is such a big part of his life. And we all understand the Black church culture. And if you're involved, you spend so much time there. So if your significant other can't be a part of that, and as demanding as Black churches can be of your time, that can cause people to break apart. That's another perspective.
We also know about Black church people, right? And Black church people can be extremely difficult on others, especially the ones that they don't know, the ones that they don't invite in, and the ones that they don't approve of. So I'm really interested to know what the Black church people were saying about her, seeing that she was not necessarily brought up in the first lady-esque type of, culture. She was nurtured in that world, and now she is adopted and to become a church's first lady after doing all these movies and all these scenes and wearing these clothes. And listen, Black church people.
She's currently busting it open on her new show.
So wide open.
Really?
She's an actress. She's not busting it open. Her character is busting it open.
Yeah, okay. Explain that to the kids.
Which is true, but we connect character. We connect character, actresses and their characters and their real worlds together.
Right. Exactly. Currently busting it open on her show. The thing about the whole church thing, which I don't even want to go too far into, but so their core, their foundation started off like they didn't have sex before they got married. Am I correct?
Yes, the book that they wrote was about that whole experience.
I don't believe it, but that's what the book said.
That's what the book said. So, but for me, here's where it takes me. Okay, so if you biblically follow the rules before you get married and you don't have sex and then you get married and that's when you have sex. So at what point do you turn off the biblical foundation to say we're getting divorced? Because God only gives you doesn't he grant the decree of divorce if your heart is hardened and you can no longer love each other? Not even cheating. Like God is like, nigga cheat, like let him cheat. You know what I'm saying? But if you can't love the person anymore, then that's grounds for divorce. So us not knowing like what the real issue is, it makes it kind of hard to be like, okay, well, you had all these grounds biblically before. So what makes you the grounds? Where do they go now that you want to get divorced? Do you know what I mean? Because God hates divorce, right?
Right. I definitely see what you're saying. I think it's people kind of play the rules the way that they want to play it when it conveniences them, right? So it was a great story. Pastor Franklin and Megan Good, bad girl turned good type of a situation. But now when it doesn't work, people don't want to put in the work so that it can be sustained.
Yes.
And just to add, if coming from a spiritual perspective, right, since that's what we're talking about, what if you actually married the person you weren't supposed to marry anyway? So what if it was just corrupt from the beginning? And you realized it, and you was like, oh, okay, well, this is actually not who I'm supposed to be with, and then you decide to walk away from that. I do believe that sometimes people actually end up marrying the wrong person. And I don't like people telling me what to do or who to love, so I really don't. So divorce exists for a reason, like breakup exists for a reason. So like, and I'm not for somebody. Again, I'm not married, so I guess whatever I'm going to say now is not from experience, but I don't believe people should stay with people because they have children with them. And these two didn't have children, but that's one of the reasons why people stay married, so maybe they just weren't right for each other from the beginning.
That may be a possibility. It may be a possibility. And I'm gonna just be quiet on the rest of that part. But staying in the vein of marriage, do you guys watch Love and Marriage Huntsville?
I haven't seen it.
I've seen a couple episodes.
So disappointing. Okay, I mean, you guys.
Maybe that's why I'm still single. I need to get into the married folk show.
Listen, okay, because how else you gonna learn, Linda? Oh my God. So Love and Marriage. Okay, so let me just read this little bit real quick, so it gives you some backstory. So it's Love and Marriage Huntsville, and it centers around the lives of three high-powered African-American couples who come together to revitalize the thriving city of Huntsville, Alabama, which nobody even knew existed, okay, before the show. So through their joint real estate ventures, so they're all in real estate, the comeback group Martell and Melody Holt, Marceau and Tisha Scott, and they only said 3 couples, but it's also Maurice and Kimmy Scott. So I don't know who they excluded in that little blurb. But so one of my favorite couples is Martell and Melody. And I don't know if it's because they got the most drama and they got the most smoke. They got the most smoke, but they were married 12 years. They had 4 children. And let me just give you another bit of the rundown, okay? So Martell cheated. All right. Big surprise there. He's the Capricorn. Look. We already know.
I think there's some offended Capricorns in the chat. Our viewership just went.
All right, I take that back. But I mean, people definitely hear like certain signs and they're like, oh my God, you cheat. You cheat. What sign is that for you? Have anybody else had a sign that they're like, oh no, that person cheats? That person cheats? No, really?
No, I don't really follow it, so no, not for me.
You mean not the show? I'm talking about if you hear
astrology. I don't follow that, so I don't really know a lot.
Be good and saved. Yes.
Well, my light speaks for itself.
Well, anyway, there's a different level of Satanism according to the world when it comes to Capricorns. But anyway, so Martell cheated. Melody forgave him. He cheated again. They separated. Found out Melody was pregnant. They got back together. He cheated again. Now, mind you, this is with the same girl. His mistress this time around, she done got pregnant. All right. So now she carrying a baby, and she done had a baby. And Melody finally decided that she was going to file for divorce after 12 years of marriage. So Martell sort of alluded to the fact that Melody wasn't giving him none, and that's the reason that he stepped out. And he said it so many times as if it was legitimately justified. Okay, so what my question is, do we feel a lack of getting what we want in the bedroom from our mate is a justification to go on outside the door?
I'm not married, so I don't have to answer this question.
Well, you've been in a relationship before, so the question applies even if you are not married, because this speaks to your character at the end of the day, right?
That's true.
Or your ability to problem solve. If you are not satisfied in a relationship, are you justified to go outside of the confines and commitment of your relationship, if you are committed, to go find what you need and what you want?
No one wants to answer that question, I see.
Not crickets.
Well, I mean, I waited to hear. I mean, I feel like there isn't a justification for cheating in any form, right? And whether it be with someone else, people cheat in different ways, And I feel like without the proper communication skills, and I think that's one of the main reasons for cheating. It's a lack of communication. It's a lack of the man, right, or woman is not necessarily being clear or being open and transparent about what it is that they need and exactly what it is that they need. And it's something we just don't talk to each other properly. We don't communicate right, and when we don't communicate right, things just go wrong. Mm-hmm. But there's no justification. Though I believe, because I watched a few episodes of the show, that there is, with his transgression, there is a way to understand the behavior. Understanding a behavior and justifying the behavior is two different things.
Yes.
And I feel like, with the episodes that I watched, I felt like there was not a lot of emphasis in terms of understanding the reasons behind why he did what he did. And that was I just felt that was my take on that.
All right. What about you, Ren 1010?
I'm aligned with the communication piece, but I also feel like, and as married people, you could let me know if this is really the case, but I feel like as we get older and grow, sometimes people grow apart for a season, maybe. Or sometimes they just have different interests, different wants at different times in their life. I'm definitely not wanting the same thing at this age that I wanted at a younger age. And so at what point is it more about understanding who people are becoming as individuals and what turns them on and how to reach them sexually than like, oh, you don't want to do this. I don't like the way you're doing it. So I'm going to go find it the way I like it. Like, I don't
do I really have to answer this question? I do believe that communication is one of the most important factors in a relationship. And with that said, I believe that people have certain arrangements in their relationships that others shouldn't judge because they do works for them. So I believe if it's communicated with each other, about the dissatisfactions, whether it's sexually or other things, as long as that's communicated. What am I saying? I'm basically about to say
I was supporting you over here. I don't know.
What am I saying? I don't know. Like, if you're not satisfied sexually and your partner gives you permission to do it with somebody else or bring somebody else into the bedroom, is that okay? I don't know. But then if that's working for you guys.
Well, that's a whole other topic, but let's discuss. Are we in? Ooh, okay. Maurice, you get married and your mate is not satisfied. Are you open to allowing someone else into the bedroom?
At one point in time, I would say if he wasn't satisfied, I would be open to it. But I think as I'm getting older, I don't know if I necessarily want that, personally. But again, the communication has to be open. So right. I'm very clear and upfront with him from the beginning, like, let me know what's going on. And then, we take it from there. My emphasis is on communication, right? I believe it just needs to be communicated. However you feel, it just needs to be communicated.
I agree. So. Are you, as a married individual, G, what do you think about it? Well, and let's flip it real quick, because I know everybody thinking about, oh, what if the man wants to? What if the woman wants to?
Wants to do what? What? The woman wants to do what exactly?
What if she has interest in bringing an individual into the bedroom?
Don't say another man. Another man.
Another individual. Bringing another individual. Does the individual look like her? Because if they look like me, it ain't gonna work. They can't look like me. They gotta look like her.
Yeah, why is that? I don't even care, right? But why is there such a double standard, though? Why is there such a double standard?
Listen, there's a double standard. I didn't make the rules. I just follow it. Listen.
Well, come on, you're the black psychologist, right? So I want to know the psychology behind the double standard of if a man is saying, okay, I'm not really satisfied, let's consider bringing another woman into the room. He doesn't consider her feelings in that moment, like she would be offended or anything, right? Men tend to think women don't have egos and women don't have pride. And that ain't who I am as an individual. But if she says, hey, I'm not really satisfied, and what are your thoughts on bringing another male into the situation, and we kind of just like swap it out, or we figure out how we gonna do this thing. Did you go on mute? I know you didn't go on mute, Derek.
No, I didn't go on mute. I'm just repeating what you're saying. Like swap. What are we swapping out there? We're not swapping anything here. There is a double standard. There's double standard because and what it is that men are so competitive. Men are so competitive in our relationships. Men are competitive in the way that we interact. Men are competitive in everything. So now it turns this new individual that looks like me. It turns into a competition. Now there's fights. There's going to be a fight. There's going to be a fight.
And you don't want to compete for the prize you already won.
That's right.
And that you committed to your life before God and said, she's the one. I chose her out of all these other hoes I could have had. I chose her, and she finna bring the competition in the bedroom. Okay,
number one.
All right.
Okay. Can't bring the competition. Can I?
All right. I ain't saying it's right, but I thank you, because I really never understood that. I never understood that.
Well, we also have an opinion from a viewer, Drake Rumble. He said, what happens behind closed doors is nobody's business. And he also agreed with Gerald saying that, yes, there is a double standard. And so what? So that's from one of the viewers.
Okay, listen. The double standard is subjective.
Right. And he's right. I mean, what happens behind closed doors is nobody's business. I mean, it's an agreement that you and your significant other makes. And if that's what you guys want to go down, the road you want to go down, then go for it. Go for it.
Go on for it. So what are some okay, we talked about communication being one of the healthy alternatives. After you can communicate, it does not just limited to communicating. You have to clearly communicate. And I feel like you have to literally step by step really explain, tell, and you have to sort of walk the person to the water, like, because no one is put on this earth to figure out what your needs are. Now, you probably all had that experience where you've had someone who you just felt like, oh my God, they just understood my body and everything that it asked for, and I never had to say a word. Well, most people don't marry that person. Okay. Mm-hmm. Wait, let me take that back because that was too matter of fact. Some people don't marry that person.
I know, because when you said that kind of made me want to ask you a few questions. Right. But
listen, I'm
iced tea.
I may need some more ice.
Iced tea.
I may need some more ice. I may need some more rocks for this truth. Okay.
I've communicated, so we are good. Okay, I'm a clear communicator. And in areas where I feel maybe they need a little more communicating, then I start showing. All right, let me show you. I can show you better than I can tell you. And I think that is significant because sometimes we'll look at our mate like, hey, this is what I want from you. And this is what you're supposed to be doing because I've already communicated to you. I've already showed you. But it's times that I had to be the initiator of what I desired.
That's right.
So you can really see what it is. And it's like, okay, some people are visual and they need a PowerPoint. That's it. You got to be willing to do all the things. Our learning styles are different.
That's right. That's right.
So you got to learn to be a teacher in your marriage and not just a student. Know what I'm saying? But anyway. All right, next hot topic. Who got topic?
well, that was hot in itself. I know if any other topic can top that. Right.
An open relationship.
Real quick.
We went to open relationships and inviting other individuals into the room and different things like that. My goodness, how can I come after that?
Don't let me go next time.
But of course, one of the things that I am passionate about as a psychologist is the mind. I'm very passionate about the mind. I love people. And I love them so much that I started studying them, studying human behavior, started studying the mind. And one of the things that, came up this year was, the rise of mental health challenges, and especially in the area of sports, right? And I'm a sports enthusiast. You know what sports?
No.
You don't watch those sports, Maurice?
Actually, I watched the hockey game today at work at the Garden.
Of course we did.
Right, and somebody actually came up to me and they said, "Oh, do you know what this call means?" I was like, "You better go to NHL and find out."
So sports, whether you played it or you watched it, that's always brought a level of high energy and excitement. Whether football, basketball, dodgeball, right? Emotions just tend to run high. It's a range of emotions from being extremely happy when your team wins or when you win to being extremely sad when you lose. But then sports has always had that connotation of being the bounce back type of, scenario where, an athlete bounces back and comes back and wins after losing, and we think that they're going to lose and they end up winning, But this year, the sports world received a curveball when some of our favorite athletes to watch on some of the world's biggest stages decided to walk away, citing mental health challenges. Simone Biles, she withdrew from the Olympics in Tokyo while being favored to equal or top the 5 gymnastics medals that she won in 2016 in the Rio Games. She returned and won the bronze medal on the balance beam, but however, she withdrew because she cited not feeling physically or mentally in the right headspace. Mm-hmm. And even the Grand Slam tennis champion Naomi Osaka pulled out of the French Open in June, also citing depression and anxiety. And one of my favorite basketball players, Kyrie Irving, right, has taken numerous personal time away from basketball, numerous personal days. And though he never mentioned mental health challenges, but he just took it for personal reasons, whether it be family or, so guys, like, I'm trying to figure out, like, what are your thoughts on sports and maybe the pressures that come with it? Like, what if, imagine getting an opportunity to watch your favorite player and figuring out that he or she can play because they just weren't up to it. Like, what is your first reaction to that? What are your thoughts?
I'll jump in first. First, I do want to say I am if you watch any of my vlogs, you would know that I am a mental health advocate. I went to therapy myself, and I think it's very, very beneficial. And I believe that's a time where everyone can go and talk to someone selfishly about themselves. So I am for everyone. If you have the resources and the money, I'm for you going to therapy. So with that said, in regards to these athletes, if you feel like you need to take some time off to save your life because you only have one life here on earth, then who cares what else anyone else thinks? And you should go ahead and do what it is that you have to do. As a fan, I do understand you wanting to come somewhere and you want to see Simone and you want to see, LeBron play, and they're not there for whatever the reason. That is disappointing. It is true, but you know what? That's life. I go to work and get disappointed by my boss every time I'm there. So I'll deal with it and get over, because the athletes, they only have one life, so it's like you can't. And then also just think about the pressures that are on them by being on such a public stage and the scrutiny that they're open to. So I believe, if you got to do it, you just got to do it. And you just got to get to a place where you just don't even care what anyone else thinks, or even sometimes you just can't even care about the money. You think about, Kyrie, who's not, isn't he being penalized for not playing, for not getting vaccinated or whatever the situation is with him? Sometimes it's just not even worth the money, so you just have to do what works for you. That's just my position on it.
Money over. I just feel like I don't like it. And I'm a mother of, my son plays basketball, and I never liked it. So the coaches scream.
Don't like what?
I don't like the pressure that is applied to any individual that's in sport. You are a human, and you are actually being told you are not supposed to be human when you are in sports. It takes away your right to be a human. And it's, if you want this thing, which you clearly have to value more than your humanity and your sanity, then you don't get to feel. You do not get to feel. And so you're going to take this verbal, because what they won't tell you what it really, you're going to take this abuse because it's done in excess. And I feel like anything done in excess is abusive. It's verbal abuse, sometimes physical abuse. Sometimes these coaches are physical with these children or with these men. It's a lot that transpires. And for me, from the time I experienced it, I was like, oh no. And I was just watching my older son do it, but he had been doing it already. So he he was immune to the screaming and the yelling by the time I came into his life. So I didn't really have any control over that situation. But then when my younger son began to pursue basketball and he was sort of put in these same scenarios, he didn't respond to it well. He would be emotionally digress, and he would be like sick some days. And then there was a day when, and all he wants is to be an NBA. Like, that's it. He's never said any other thing in life since he was 2. He's always wanted this. So he wants this. So he's willing to take this. But one day they lost, and he made a mistake. Don't you dare make a mistake. You are only as good as your last win in sports. So don't you dare make a mistake, because he made a mistake at the end and they lost, and the boy didn't eat for like 3 days. And I didn't know, 2 days. And he was sad and depressed. And I said, I will take you off. I will shut this whole shit down. Between him and my husband, they want to be rolled. I said, I will shut it all down. I will start speaking out against this. I will make a big problem. So I said, if this is what you want, there is a part of you that you are going to have to detach emotionally from, or you're going to have to come to me after every game, cry, say whatever you need to say. Let me help build you back up again so you can get back on that court. But you cannot go silent, go dark, and then, you in here beating yourself. I do not like it. Mm-hmm. I don't like it. But since I had that talk with him, he's been handling it a lot better because he's learned to separate from it mentally and realize it's not connected to his value, because that's where the deterioration, I feel, comes with the humanity. Mm-hmm. But sorry, go ahead.
Absolutely. That's awesome. And I agree with you because, of the whole superhuman aspect of it, where the pressure of them to be, more superhuman. Like that's how I idolize my favorite sport figures, right? Like Michael Jordan he was an idol to me. He was a superhero. Superheroes don't take time out. Whenever you've seen Superman take a time out, take a day off, take a personal time. Right. So in the beginning, that was my mindset. Like, what do you mean you're withdrawing? Like what? No, you're not supposed to. But at the end of the day, you really have to understand that, as Maurice said, like, you have one life to live. It's your life, and you have to ensure that life is balanced. Renata.
I was contemplating as you guys were speaking on whether or not I wanted to take it there, and I feel like I do, because I think this is a big part of it. But many might say it's not a race thing, and I really feel like it is a race thing, because there are many times where there are athletes who are not Black that make these choices, and it's not such a big deal. Like, it's not newsworthy for a week. But if it's a Black athlete, then it's like, oh, why, and this and that, and it's on the news for weeks, multiple interviews, multiple journalists, and like, we haven't seen, I don't even know who, for years, right? And then they just pop up at the Olympics, and it's like, yay, they're back. Okay, so but why they left? Let's go back to that, because we knew Serena wasn't playing anymore. We knew Simone Biles wasn't playing anymore. We knew when it happened. But the other thing I think is that this is particularly with basketball, because I watch different sports, but not as much as I used to. But I think with basketball, for me, it seems like it's more entertainment, right? It's not just a sport. Like, you are showing up to entertain people, and if you are not showing up to entertain, you're messing up my investments, you're messing up billions of dollars for certain people, and it's just like the value of that. I don't know if it's what we as fans put on their lives and their careers as athletes, or if it's the people who are their agents and putting them out there on these courts and these fields and saying, like, I invested all this money in you. You want to play. What I need to do? You need a massage. You need to sit on a couch with a therapist real quick. Whatever you got to do, you got to get back out there, because I'm losing millions when you're not on the court.
Yep. I pay you to not feel and to not get caught up in your emotions in your life. This is my business.
Mm-hmm. Like, what is the cost of a front row seat at the Garden?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I was just trying to research it quickly. It's not coming up as quickly as I wanted to. I just thought about that as you mentioned investments and things like that. Well, let's just say it's $20,000. Like, if I pay my money, you're going to play.
Right.
You're right. Like, and that's just the thing. And there is that pressure. And I'm glad that athletes are now speaking out against that.
Yeah.
I'm starting to say, listen, I'm withdrawing, and I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what the world thinks of me, and I am withdrawing. And there is a race that might be a race situation incorporated in that too, as Renata said, like, the expectations that they have on Black athletes to always perform. And I could take it back to slavery, and
I was about to say,
I could take it back there, the whole entertainment piece, right?
Yeah,
take it back there, but I wouldn't take it back there, because that's a whole nother ice topic for another time. Maybe in February, when it's Black History Month. But I'm just putting it out. But anyway,
I guess we see what you want to talk about next month.
Shut up,
Go ahead and write on. Work on the script now.
Work on the script. Oh my goodness! And you know what? This is therapeutic, right? You see how we're laughing and we're having fun. It releases positive endorphins into a body. And my charge for everyone that's watching, that don't be silent with mental health challenges. If you do feel something, if you do feel like you're not right, like speak to someone. Get to a therapist. There are therapists now that are doing online therapy. Get to a therapist. Find a therapist that's close to you that you can speak to and iron out your mental health challenges, because it's a serious thing and it can affect you and everyone that's around you or your loved ones.
Yep.
That's my iced tea topic, guys.
Iced tea
we'll leave it right there. And I'm going to write the script for Black History Month too, because I'm the Black psychologist. That's what I do.
I'm taking notes.
You're taking minutes. You're taking minutes. That's what you do.
Wow. Excited for that. Sadly, or unfortunately, or maybe not so much, depending on how this conversation goes, because with us, you never know. We are going to transition to some not so great news. We are rapidly approaching the anniversary of the insurrection, which I am still in disbelief that it even happened. I think that day I came home and I turned on the television and I was like, wait, what is happening? Where is this happening? Like, that's like, nobody's stopping them. They alive? Wow. Right?
Yeah.
So
that part.
Right. And over the year, it's been interesting to watch how they've tried to pin Trump for this. And obviously we all think, I believe we all think that he is responsible. But funny enough, we are approaching the campaign trail time for the 2024 election, which is crazy. We are about to elect a new president, maybe. Do you think that it'll be Trump back in office?
Listen, Linda.
Oh, God.
Listen.
Well, I'll just step in and say, I want the Lord to have his way.
Let go and let God.
Whatever that means, let the Lord have his way in Donald Trump's life.
The same. I agree. I think that, well, while he hasn't actually been silent, he's done interviews. There are people that have been sent to jail. For the most part, I think there are so many more that need to go, including Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. As the president, to whom much is given, much is required. I'm still in disbelief that anything was given to him. Mm-hmm. But like Biden and the way this current election is going, I don't know. A lot of people feel a certain way about the current president, even though we were super excited for Kamala and Biden to take office, which meant Trump would no longer be. But Trump feels like it was stolen from him, hence the madness that went on in DC at the Capitol. And so how do you guys feel about it? Like, I don't know that I have my thoughts about who could potentially be running for president, but do you think Trump has a chance? Honestly.
I'll jump in and say that.
But let me just say this. In this poll that ABC did, 91% of the people that took the poll believe that Trump is responsible. And I read that and was like, do Black people take polls for ABC? Because 91% of the people said they believe he's responsible. I'm led to believe that 91% was probably white, and that made me happy. But what do you think?
I'm torn on this, right? I think one thing I'll just start by saying the insurrection is a wonderful example of the epitome of white privilege in America and how you could just get away with things, right? So this happened in 2021. Not all, but most of 2020, you had all these Black people marching, a part of, or just trying to express the importance of Black lives mattering. And here it is. And then they got rubber bullets, and they got tear gas, and they got curfews, and they got so on and so on and so forth. But here it is. You have all these essentially white people storming the capital of the United States, which hasn't been done, I believe, since 1812. And no gunshots, no one killed, barely anybody.
The one woman that went through
right, exactly. Yes, her. Barely anyone responsible, barely anyone held accountable, including the electives who are currently in office now. So it just lets you know. And even to this day, you have people who support Donald Trump who are defying subpoenas. Let the government subpoena me, and I decide that I don't want to go. What's going to happen to me? They gonna get me. I don't understand how this is just the white cis straight men are just still at the top of the hierarchy, where they could just get away with this stuff. I can't imagine Kyrie's getting fined because he won't come to work, and these people being subpoenaed by Congress and won't even show up, and nothing is happening to them.
That's right.
Most of them. So it's just epitome of like white privilege in this country, and there's no other way to address that. And while that was happening that day, I was in a group chat, but I also saw on Twitter, I believe it was Tamika Mallory, I think it was her, and she said, Black America, do not get involved. Let America see themselves. Mm-hmm. This is exactly who they are.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. So that's just kind of where I am. Donald Trump, I don't know if Donald Trump really wants to run. I think Donald Trump just wants to keep making money. Mm-hmm. I think that's what it's about.
Yeah, so. And he's been doing that these past few years by campaigning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and promoting the big lie. Donald Trump know that he lost the election. It's a big lie, and he's been making millions off of it. So why wouldn't you keep doing that? He doesn't have any integrity. He doesn't care about anyone. He just cares about himself. I don't even know if he really cares about his family that much. So it's just like he just wants to keep making money. So whatever works to keep making money, then I'm sure he'll keep doing. So I don't know if he really wants to run, but it's scary to honestly think about, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and to that point, like I feel like he would run for the purposes of campaigning so that he can make money. Even if he doesn't win, he's still going to get money. Because today I was watching on CNN, and they were discussing how one of the key points is in whatever they're reviewing as it pertains to him, that his daughter even went in and told him, like, you have to do something. You need to stop this. Like, these people their actions are because of your words, right? So like when you speak about his family and his respect for them and what, like, she packed up her stuff and was like, okay, I'm gone. Mm-hmm. When her father refused to align with, like, he's a loser. But it is what it is. We'll see how 2022 pans out.
Right.
Well, listen, I'm not versed in politics, and I don't pretend to be. But I know one good thing, not one good thing, but one thing that I would like to say is, looking at the president, if he is not a man that I would want to lead my household, he is not a man that I would want to lead my country. And that's just how I feel like moving forward. We've got to see, it's almost like being in a relationship where a person is with one person and they're like, he's the worst thing ever because he's overtly abusive, right? But then you go into another situation and that person is covertly abusive. So now you have two views of how a toxic relationship can appear. And I believe it's the same thing as going from the president we had to the one that we have now. I think we just have two extremes of toxicity. And now we just have to look for the side that balances us and will balances. Where's Kamala? I'm just okay. Yeah, we're gonna look for a president that balances us. Go around. Like, I feel like we screwed up. Like,
wow,
from our mistakes at this point. We got caught up in the blackface that was presented to us, and we never seen it again. But I'm just saying, I just want to make better choices in our relationship with America moving forward.
Kamala, right? How many vice presidents have you guys seen? Like,
besides, Pence was over COVID. Pence was responsible for like managing COVID situations.
He sure was.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I honestly, I have so many thoughts around what is happening with Kamala right now and in her role as vice president and intentions for 2024. Because even before they won, I was like, 2024 is going to be very interesting. And a lot of people thought that Biden may not even make it to 2024 given his age. And I think that's really harsh. But like I said, interesting to see. I think Kamala is a Black woman in America still as vice president. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, Kamala is actually, we want to know where she is. She's on Comedy Central getting feisty with Charlamagne the God. That's what okay? That's what she's doing. She's over there because look, Charlamagne, and just to give a backstory on this. Sorry, Renata, for stepping on you, but just to give a backstory on it. Charlamagne has a show on Comedy Central, and then VP Kamala Harris was on the show, and he asked a very legitimate question. He said, "Who is the president of the country? Is it Joe Manchin or is it Joe Biden?" And then she got feisty and said, "Come on, Charlamagne, you know who I am." And he has Simone Sanders who tried to cut the interview off, and then it's been backlash on whether or not if this was CNN or MSNBC or ABC interviewing Kamala, they asked a question that they didn't like, they would have never stepped in to cut the.
Don Lemon would have dug into that behind real good. Like, okay, right.
So.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. Gerald, don't know if you had any other thoughts on this. Jumping from one tragedy to the next, unfortunately.
I share the sentiments of everyone else. I just feel like, like this country, the heart of this country was shown with the insurrection. And then it just makes me understand that we have such a long way to go. And I'm not sure if we would even be able to accomplish it in this lifetime of equality in this country.
Yeah. We're praying, one nation under God. We're praying people. So looking for a shift in our leadership. Moving on to another scenario where
you just want to come for me. Okay. I'll let you have that.
You're my best friend.
Right. And I'm out of your league.
I was wondering how long it would take before the Reeds.
The real Maurice showed up.
Right.
Okay, so another scenario where multiple people unfortunately died from asphyxiation was Astroworld, and Travis Scott performed at this festival, which after the young boy, all of the fatalities were heartbreaking, but the youngest 10-year-old boy to pass away was like so sad. And unfortunately, this is not unpopular. I know a lot of people came down on Travis and Live Nation and Astroworld security, local authorities, the city, the state, and everything they did or didn't do for this event. But this is something that typically happens at festivals and rock concerts. It's not abnormal, unfortunately, but it seems like they trying to nail Travis to the cross for it. So do you think that artists or performers should be liable for these events and when they pan out like this? The deaths of these attendees? Or even how the crowd interacts, right? Because you show up on stage, your job is to entertain and move the crowd. And so if the crowd is amped and hyped and this is what happens, is that your fault?
The first thing that came to my mind when I heard the story was I guess the power of influence, right? Mm-hmm. And how an artist can actually have the power. And there's a lot of psychology that goes into it, right? Has the power to influence people and actually make them do things that they probably didn't think that they would actually do, right? So I think that artists should hold some level of culpability when it comes to situations like that, because now the question becomes, what could he have done or said to stop it, right? How could he have used his influence to stop that from even happening? Like, I've been to concerts where there's been fights and the artist was just like, no, we ain't doing that today. Like, yo, listen, we ain't doing that. This is a place of love, and just really promoting that. And we followed that. The people who were fighting, were extracted, and we continued our concert, peace and love, because that individual in the front who is at the helm has the power at that time, and he has the influence to move people in any way that he wants them to move. So my question became like, could he have done something to stop it? And I believe that he could have. So I don't think that he should be 100% liable, but he should take some level of culpability when it came to these unfortunate tragedies that occurred.
Yeah, I could see that somewhat. The thing that was interesting to me was in watching like certain TikTok videos from people who were there throughout the day is that I'm sure they have like a capacity, right, for how many people can be at the venue or within the gates. And very early on in the day, they broke down the barriers that were set to manage that, right? So in theory, Travis should have never even got to the stage.
Right.
They should have managed the crowd.
Even before.
I don't know. I'm a director of operations, so I kind of think through like these things. Like,
director of operations, you operate and direct.
Well, we know who the next round of drinks are on. The director.
I can't. But my thing is, they still went on with the show, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, so you have a bunch of people in here that didn't pay. That's one, right? No, and they just packing out this place, and you have no ability to keep them safe. You have all the help supports, the police, the EMS, all those people on the sidelines with no way to access people in the middle of the crowd. You have no clue what's going on in the middle, and nobody cared. That's on Travis.
Yeah. See, now when you brought the director hat on and you brought in those key details, now I'll probably have to retract my sentiments with it because then this shouldn't have happened from an operations perspective, right? It shouldn't have happened. The show shouldn't have went on. He shouldn't have his A&Rs and whoever works with him should have been like, look, this is a chaotic situation. You cannot go out there. Right. So that those key details definitely change the way that we look at it now.
And I almost feel like children shouldn't even be in the same concert as adults, because adults do drugs. When I go to the concert, all I do is smell marijuana in the air. So I wouldn't.
Maurice was waiting for you.
No, I was expecting for you to say, when I go to concerts, I do drugs.
Oh no! When I go, like all I
real fast
is marijuana in the air, and I would feel extremely uncomfortable having anyone that's not of age in the vicinity like that. And I've watched enough concerts on TV to see, even from Michael Jackson, they would go bonkers and nuts. I myself personally didn't go to concerts. I was an adult and I was like, I can't do all of that crap. Like, people are just nuts. So as far as him being responsible, I feel like even with him having the influence and even with the operations, we cannot control how people choose to operate after we've done all we can, after we've done our part. And I feel for that part, for us to do all we were supposed to do, even if they, operations didn't. But I'm just saying, according to him as an artist, like, that operations is not even his job. That's not what he's supposed to be thinking about. He's an artist. He's there to perform and do a service and get paid and leave. And yes, he has that influence. Yes, he can care about what's happening at his concerts, and he wants it to be structured in a certain way. But I believe that people have their own minds, and there's only but so much you can do, hence the insurrection. Okay, people have their own minds. If people can get into the White House, then they can go nuts at a Travis Scott concert. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Totally.
So I feel like it should be on him. I just don't.
Cool.
And I'm really sorry for what happened. My heart breaks. Like I couldn't even watch it. Like I didn't even delve into it at all. I'm like, oh, a child? Nope. I don't want anything to do with it. My heart breaks to hear stuff like that.
Yeah. Maurice, you were going to say something?
No, I don't have anything to add. I agree with, most of the things that was said.
Yeah. I think what was really interesting was the way people responded to certain aspects of the event. So like, I think I want to say it was People or maybe E-News. One of them reported that night that Kylie was safe. And a lot of people were really frustrated with that because they were like, all of these people are either dying or dead. And you are reporting as a news outlet that Kylie is safe. She's pregnant with Travis's baby. And so it just speaks to like what people care about and what people think we care about, right? Very interesting. But
that's the brand of E, though. That's what they focus on, celebrities.
Right.
Right.
So speaking of Kylie and the Kardashians, they're coming back. Which I've been saying this with all the scandals that have been happening between Kylie and Travis in the Astro world, and also with Kylie and Travis. What I think is interesting is that she doesn't desire to be with him in that way. She's named, I've heard. She just wants her kids to have the same father. Kim and Kanye.
You got choices, honey.
Right. Divorce pending. Chloe and Tristan. He can't keep his stuff to himself.
Okay.
Courtney and Travis Barker on the way down the aisle. So there's a lot happening in the Kardashian regime. Do you think they are going to be bigger and better on Hulu now as the Kardashians, as opposed to keeping up with the Kardashians on E-News?
Wow, I love the Kardashians. I mean, I support everything they do. That
is unpopular opinion amongst.
I just press Hulu. I just press play and binge watch. I've supported them from the couch that most of my life. I do. I love to watch them. I love to see it. Whatever it's happening, I don't disapprove. What they eat doesn't make me shit. I'm highly entertained by their lifestyle. I've seen their growth. I've seen their whole bodies change, face change. I can tell you which year, which nose, So I mean, that's it. I just love them, and I don't feel that unless they've done something to us personally or me personally. I'm excited if they're coming back. Yes, I would love to see it again.
They never really left. I mean, if the truth be told, the show ended last year. The show is starting this year. It's just like we just had to wait for the next season to start. So whatever. Do I think they'll maintain the influence that they have? More than likely, but you never know because people just get tired of people. But yeah, they've been very, very successful. And just like Namdia, it is a guilty pleasure of mine. I do enjoy watching them. I love to keep up with Kardashians. So I mean, and then it's just like it's one of those shows you don't even have to watch consistently. You can just tap in and tap out whenever you want. And I love shows like that because those are shows that you put on Saturday mornings or you play all day Saturday, while you're cooking and cleaning or snuggled up to your loved one.
Yes. Is that when you watch it, Maurice? No,
I don't. I told you I'm single.
As he sips his iced tea.
Y'all not ready for that tea. Actually, it's no tea. I'm not lying.
To Maurice's point, they kind of never really left. But if there was another family, I guess, that would take their spot, who would it be?
There is none. Let's be real. There is no family collectively that have that type of influence on the culture. And the reason why I say that is because so many people are on Instagram and social media platforms trying to be them.
That's right.
I think, and the reason why they're so successful is because they came up with social media. So I think in order for them to be replaced, it would just have to be some sort of new technology that someone comes up with. You think about Kevin Hart. He was around, in my opinion, his come up was off of Twitter. So Twitter was becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, and he was utilizing that platform. So the same thing with the Kardashians. They utilized Instagram as it was growing. Instagram used them, and they used Instagram. I don't know if there were any backdoor deals, more than likely, but I feel like there would have to be some sort of new technology almost to metaverse. Come on, Maurice, you better get on it.
Come up with metaverse.
I said metaverse. A reality show on metaverse.
Right, keeping up with Truth on the Rocks.
That's right.
Okay.
Have you guys tried metaverse at all?
No.
I guess we actually tried it.
Well, somebody
I feel like it's a heavy gamer industry. Like gamers, yeah, they're in there. I'm not a gamer, so it's going to take me a minute.
Well, we actually just used it, and there was like random people in a room that were professionals of all sorts in different. They had all these different professions, and they were just in there like, it was. I think Metaverse was out for maybe a day, and he got on there, and he was just meeting all these people, and he was like, "Wow, this is nuts!" It was just some random realtor from California that came in and was like, "Anybody looking for a house?"
Right, because somebody just spent $450,000 to live next door to Snoop.
That part.
In the metaverse.
In the metaverse. This is happening in the metaverse.
Oh, absolutely. That's the next show. We'll get into
Listen, I still have 3 pictures on my Instagram page. I don't even know.
The Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
Metaverse. I know the universe.
And the master of it.
And the master of the universe. Right. I know about the metaverse, nothing like that. Listen, that's where I'm at with it.
3 pictures. I'm done.
What you got, Maurice?
We moving on?
We're moving on.
Okay, great, wonderful. So time is basically running out for us. So I just want to end the show on a high note, which is actually a sad note for me because last Sunday was the series finale of the pop culture phenomenon Insecure. I'm really sad about that. I love Insecure. I really do. We watched 5 seasons of a show centered around 4 Black women who struggled with adulting successfully. And that is probably the reason why I love this so much, because I struggle with adulting. And these characters dealt with real life flaws such as insecurities with themselves, their love lives, careers, and even friendships. However, at the end of the series, we saw these characters come full circle and experience true Black excellence, because every character got the dream job, they got the love of their lives, and they also grew closer as friends. So, first of all, I guess we could just start here. Why do you think this show was such a phenomenon for the Black culture, and especially during this time? I'll throw it to you, Renata. I know that you and I talked about this because we just love this show.
I think it showed multiple sides. So I think Issa Rae's authentic and comedic nature in delivery of her true life experiences that we all go through, but are sometimes even ashamed to tell our closest friends. She put it on television, like the ratchet to the turmoil with female friendships and relationships. I feel like she really was our best friend in our head. Playing out our lives on television, and we got to see like how it could all work out in the end. Not the way we planned it, but it works out. So I definitely enjoyed the way the season ended, but I definitely am on the Insecure roller coaster. Yeah, I would do it all again.
What about you, Gerald?
Yeah, I was in there as well. I mean, I wasn't a fan in the beginning until I heard Issa's freestyle "Broken Pussy."
Broken Pussy.
I was like, you know what? That's my show. She's my girl, and like I was gone. I was floored. I love.
So just to be clear, pussy is what got your attention.
It was a
Broken
freestyle.
Pussy is what got his attention.
It was a freestyle. It was a freestyle, right? I love the freestyle. and the dry sarcasm, the humor, it just grabbed me. And it was a show for us, about us.
Yes.
And it was just just excellence in there. And I jumped on the bandwagon. I was heartbroken when it ended, like everyone else, and it was just I just identify with a lot of things.
Right. Nim?
I think for me, the same. It was so relatable, and y'all know I'm a potty mouth, and so the fact that this they embrace the words that people often clutch their pearls over, like nigga and pussy and bitch. For me, I was like, yes, thank you, because this is how we talk to each other. And
say the rest of the words.
I don't remember all the words. I was just trying to give you a synopsis, you asshole.
Here's another.
So, but they represented the real culture, the culture that's not really acceptable in the eyes of most people, and then they stuck it on HBO and they put it in front of everybody for the world to see, and it was unapologetic. So I definitely appreciated that, and I think that I love the sex scenes. Oh my God, the sex scenes were just like amazing. Yes, because I'm an adult and I have sex, Maurice. I apologize on behalf of the United States of America that you seem disturbed by the word sex.
You got 14. What are you talking about?
How many children you have? It's clear.
You got 17. You're talking about, I know you're disappointed that I have sex. I actually think that's all you do is have sex. I'm sorry. In the spirit of Issa Rae, all you do is fuck.
But so them like embracing the reality of everything, and I feel like there were so many lessons upon lessons, and even moments where I watched something and I was kind of going through something, and I was able to like apply, like, oh, let me try this, and it really worked. So it was really big for me. Unfortunately, I was not as excited with this last season, and I'm sorry that we disagree on that. I felt like it felt rushed to me. I didn't feel the same level of connection with that I did in the previous episodes, because me and my friend would normally call each other and be like, girl, let's watch it together. Now we're like, bitch, you saw this episode? Oh boy. Some moments.
Well, let me ask you now, was it about the way the season was ending, or was it about what was happening with the characters, like the storyline?
I felt like I feel like the characters in the season before, I feel like everything kind of fell apart, and then they just magically all came together, and they didn't really address those issues, which I'm used to them addressing. That's one. And then the scenes were dramatic, like them getting robbed in the store and the girl, I'm like, come on, that was so dramatic. Like, we could have really did some real life stuff, and it was a little dramatic. I just kind of felt like the dots weren't connecting, or they were just throwing in fillers too much. And it didn't have that same level of, I felt like I was a part of the show. I felt like I was here. I felt like even when she saw Lawrence at the hospital and things like that, I'm like, oh, come on. That could have been much more.
She threw the baby in the garbage.
That shit had me dying. But just when the reality of them bumping into each other, it was just so dramatic. All of a sudden, he's just like telling her he wants to be with her. It was just too much, like, it was too choppy.
I definitely
was not enough follow through, and I didn't really feel as connected as I have before. And in the ending, I was like, oh my God, you really got to end like a Christmas movie where everybody gets what they want in the end? That I didn't expect that. Even though I know they had to end, but I just felt like we've been going on this real note. Sometimes life doesn't work out this way. So why would we end like this fairy tale?
Well, I mean, number one I would say is probably very, very difficult to wrap up a show, so that's pretty challenging. People always have some criticism of every popular show that ends, And I believe one of the runners of the show, his name is Prentice, was him or maybe Issa Rae tweeted like they wanted every Black character to have it all. They wanted to display Black excellence at its full potential. Yeah. So that's probably I think that was one of the reasons why everyone had it all at the end, because that was very, very intentional. And this is just the last question, because you can't not talk about Insecure without bringing this up. Now, were you guys team Nathan or team Lawrence? Like, you just have to ask that question. At the end of the day, Renata, who were you, team Nathan or team Lawrence?
I was not team either one of them.
Oh, interesting.
So I didn't want I didn't want the series to end with her being single. But my issue with Nathan was that he just needed some more work. He was very rough around the edges, and I feel like he would pull Issa back.
Down. Yep.
Yeah. He handsome, great guy, heart, but he got too much going on. He needed to repair. My issue with Lawrence is I don't want no baby mama drama. Like, go ahead. Go on ahead.
But that's also realistic. When women meet straight men at a certain age, they come with some sort of baggage. So that's like a very real situation.
Right.
Well, the real question is, do I want to be a baby? We're not talking about a child that maybe 5, 6, when y'all been separated or estranged a little while. You have time to work through your issues as a couple or non-couple. Make sure she don't want you, you don't want her. She ain't bringing you drama, or if she is, you already know that, so you can tell me at the door, so I can make a decision. Do I want to deal with this? They haven't had enough time to figure their shit out. And I think that for any single woman, like, that's a lot to take on, and vice versa. It's not just on the woman, vice versa.
Gerald?
I was absolutely team Nathan, and I disagree with Renata and Nim 100%.
It's your man.
Team Nathan all the way. Team Nathan all the way. And why? Because all he wanted was love. He just wanted to be loved. You know what I mean? Was he rough around the edges? Did he have a lot of things going on? Absolutely, but who doesn't, right? And he was loving, he was supportive.
He was bipolar. Let's address the issue.
People who have mental health challenges can't get love.
They can, but he did not have control over the situation. I don't feel like he had as much control as he thought, and he was working through it by himself. My man, you need help. You need a therapist and a psychologist, and you need some good friends that's going to constantly support you, because we're not here to raise folks.
But that can work. That's something that's workable, I believe. Instead of being the guy
he ain't worked yet, Gerald.
The guy who went and got another woman pregnant, and now come back talking about
he wasn't a good catch either. I agreed with Renata. We don't want none of the smoke. We don't want none of the smoke. That's why women are choosing to be single. They're like, I don't have time for that.
My thing, and to your point, Gerald, about him wanting to be loved, I get all of that, but I wanted Nathan to love Nathan, and Nathan wasn't in love with Nathan, and that was
preach.
Nathan also, I don't know. I push back on that. Nathan walked away from Issa because I think he looked out for Nathan, because he saw what was going on and didn't want anything to do with it. So I feel like he was smart enough to walk away from her. Like, you know what? This is.
Was that what he was walking away from, or was he walking away from consistent confrontation with Lawrence? Because it seemed like Lawrence was going to continue to be in the picture.
That competition.
Who dude wants to go through that, right? Like,
that competition.
You have to be confronted by an ex all the time. Like, I'm out. Like, nah, you got to take care of that, homegirl. Right. You want to be with me. You know what I'm saying? You got to take care of that baggage stuff. I'm not fighting anybody.
He needed that Rico love. Is he down to fight for you?
Listen,
I'm down to fight for you.
No, but I think he felt like he have a leg in the game because he didn't, in a sense, measure up to Lawrence. Yeah. He was not where he wanted to be in life with himself, physically, mentally, emotionally, and even career-wise. He would have been baggage for Issa. It is very hard for a woman to step out, be career-minded, and a go-getter and all of that, and have a man who has not figured life out for himself. That too is competition for men. That too is competition.
It is. It is definitely competition. I agree with you there.
Yeah, so, and I'll just close with this. I'll just say I felt, well, I'm Team Lawrence because I felt like that was Issa's the love of her life. But then also it's very hard for Nathan to compete with being in their world. Like they shared the same friends. They were going to always run into each other. So that's why I just kind of do feel like Nathan chose himself over Issa, because it's like, it's easier for me and it's healthier for me to walk away from this instead of having to consistently deal with this situation, the dynamics, and whatever this can become. So anyway, but unfortunately we don't have more time to share more things. So I'll just wrap my favorite stories up right there.
Well, guys, this was awesome. It was totally fabulous. I think this was a great start to our new show, to 2022. We went at each other. We cussed. We did all sorts of different things, you know. Right. So that was awesome, guys. And I'm so looking forward to come back again and do this again with the people. So now, thanks so much, everyone.
Oh, actually, and just to let everybody know, I'm sorry, Joe, we will be back Sunday, January 16th. So not next week, but the week after that.
Okay.
So just to plug that.
Let me know.
Well, that's what it's going to be. It's going.
If you read your emails,
that's what it's going to be.
My sister was off for the holiday weekend.
I hope you grow some hair in 2022.
Oh no, that's a done deal. I got several uncles that let me know this is a shot.
This is it.
Oh man, this is it. Sorry to hear it. Sucks to be you. Anyway, so thanks so much for joining us today. Yeah. All right, let us raise our glasses and give it up to the first episode of Truth on the Rocks. Whatever is left in the glass, whatever is left in there. All right, let's give it Truth on the Rocks, guys. I love y'all.
Love you too. Thank you, guys.
Love y'all. Bye, y'all.